Let's chat. It's hard. You want to talk? I know, that's disappointing. Sit back. Let's work this out. How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
We don't have an actual opener. I do want to give a shout out to Cathy Sites,
Cathy Sites,
our editor.
She's sitting right here.
And beautiful person and friend. And she's in the room with us.
Right here. Hey, Cath.
Rohnert Park. Woo woo. Cath, is your mic on in the booth? She said no. She motioned no.
You know you're not on video, right, Cath?
She flipped me off.
Jeez, Cath. She's so mad.
She is really mad.
She's an angry person. People don't know that about her.
We're not used to having an in-person.
I know. It's nerve-wracking. Really like, I already know people dislike us, you know?
Yeah.
But to have someone in the room
Yeah.
actively disliking us, it does feel weird. Just shaking her head.
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 356 of the podcast, This Is Actually Happening. What if they stole a year of your life?
Mm-hmm.
A brief. Abandoned after his parents' devastating divorce, a neglected teenage son is committed to a psychiatric facility whose barbaric practices reveal a far more sinister agenda. And full disclosure, I work for This Is Actually Happening, and T doesn't work on the show, but she's still a wonderful person. And she comes in fresh, and the show Trauma/Bonded is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you as the heart of Banning's story?
Thank you, Elly. Okay. I went with one word for the heart of the story today. Doors.
Like the Doors?
The same word, yeah. Not the band, though.
But he was into music in the band. He had band stuff.
That's a good connection, Elly. Thank you. So, Banning. So he talks about doors throughout the story, right? Have you noticed?
No.
You didn't notice that?
No.
Did you listen? Well, I won't go too deep. So if you listen to the podcast, you'll know that he did talk about doors quite a bit. So doors can be a metaphor for transitions like divorce. And he talks about a trap door that falls from underneath him when his dad talks about divorce.
Yeah.
Thresholds, right? You know, there's all the homes he's thrown into, basically, the family homes, his dad's home with his stepmother, his mom's home, his aunt and uncles, the psych ward, the adolescent unit has homes, right? And then you think about open doors as opportunities, as love and community, the feeling of belonging, forgiveness, right? Or closed doors as no second chances, isolation, or being unwelcome, death. And then the doors in our hearts, or as he describes it in his chest, the door in his chest, you know, when he's taking it all in.
Yeah.
You know, but he has the gratitude for freedom, the outdoors, the big blue sky, and the beauty of the world.
That's good.
So that's why I chose doors.
What is it? Donnie Darko. They talk about the most beautiful term in the world.
The most beautiful thing. Cellar door.
Yeah, the most, like they did, I don't know, science around the English language. Mm-hmm. And they said that the most beautiful term, I don't know what else you would call it, is cellar door.
Oh.
I don't know how that connects to what you just said, but it made me think of it.
Why did they say that?
I don't know, but it's a great movie. Have you seen Donnie Darko? Yeah.
Oh.
What was it about?
Donnie the Dark. Oh. Is that the bunny one? Yeah, the bunny one.
Frank.
Frank.
That was good, T.
Yeah.
For me, the big takeaway from Banning's story is when he talks about discovering punk rock as a kid, he's skating, he's already kind of like a counterculture in a way, and that he meets this kid and he introduces him to Minor Threat, right? For some reason, I was walking to Costco when I was listening to this part, and I just started bawling, and it really made me think about how music more so how a music scene played a big part in my transition from, like, leaving the church and sort of the dogma of my life behind and entering a new phase of my life, and it was all rooted in the South Bend, Indiana music scene, which was very much oriented toward punk rock, but it wasn't just punk rock, it was about a counterculture. People ask me, like, when I left the church or people wanna know what the impetus was for me leaving the church, and now that it's been a long time since, I'm able to look back with more clarity, and those first moments of knowing I could leave and find a new community was in the local music scene, because these kids, even though they were, I don't know, rebels in the eyes of the mainstream, listening to Minor Threat and Suicidal Tendencies and Black Flag, etc. That was my first experience with secular morality. Like these kids actually gave a damn about people. It wasn't just about pleasing some unknown god. It was more about actually taking care of community. And I was just overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed thinking about how those communities really can save a person. I'm so thankful that I got even a little bit of a taste of that kind of culture in my life. So when he talked about, like, putting on the headphones and hearing Minor Threat for the first time, and it felt like someone was speaking for him and someone understood where he was coming from, I was like, "Fuck yeah." And a little behind the scenes-ness about this episode is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the episode's longer than usual. It's like an hour 20. And usually we try to keep to an hour, but all of our editors on this episode were so moved by so many parts of Banning's story. When I talked to Jason about what to cut, Jason was the first editor, Jason Blaylock. Shout out to Jason Blaylock. He was the first editor on the episode. When I talked to him about what we should cut to reduce it for time, even though no one's ever put a parameter on the show for time, that was just in our own heads. He said the only thing I can think to cut is the punk rock slash skater part. And I was like, no, no, absolutely not. Like that's to me, that's like one of the little details that kind of bring the story to life. And it sort of provides this understanding of the zeitgeist at the moment. This was the mid to late 80s. This was all like leading up to like satanic panic and stranger danger and like Satan's and everything, and you can't go anywhere, do anything without Satan being involved. And it was all pre-internet, and I feel like it was really an important part of the story to understanding banning, right? And if you go and look at the actually happening Instagram, go do it. You get to see pictures of Banning from that time, and he looks just like you would think he would. And there's some comforting solace in that to me. But yeah, music saves us. That's my point. Or it has saved a lot of us at some point in our lives.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think it was an important part of the story because it was really connected to the counterculture piece, which is connected to the skateboarding bit. And I mean, it's all connected, that thread of
And
why he was committed
right.
to.
He's writing suicidal tendencies in
Yeah.
my book, which
Yeah.
to an idiot in the late 80s, or
Yeah.
an adult in the late
Yeah.
80s reads that and they're like, "Oh my god, he's suicidal.
Yeah.
He's got suicidal tendencies."
Yeah.
They don't know it's a band. Did you
Like,
know
why?
it was a
Yeah, I
band?
did know. And it's like, why would you really write down suicidal tendencies?
Suicidal
Like,
tendencies. I knew a guy, bless his soul, lovely, lovely person in the scene back in the day, and he was such a committed fan of the band. He had suicidal tattooed across his forehead.
Oh, geez. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I don't know about that. Might have him committed. Is he okay?
He was the sweetest
I'm
person
sure of
ever.
it.
He
Love
just
him.
really loved this band.
Oh my God. For sure. Love that.
What did you think about this idyllic childhood that Banning described? I mean, Disneyland is in his fucking backyard. He could see it from his backyard.
Well, we've seen this a lot, right? In a lot of these stories. It's always idyllic, right? And then as you get deeper in there, it's just,
The bunny ears fall off.
they do. Yeah. It's just not.
I think it was especially sad. There's this whole point of Banning talking about how he really worshipped his dad and
Mhm.
wanted to be like him. His dad was a pilot and he wanted to be like a pilot too. I mean,
Yeah.
what I cannot get over in the story overall is the sheer just blatant rejection that both of these parents do.
What's happening there?
I mean, it's the 80s.
It's like,
Is
Dad,
that a
Dad's going to
reason?
sit you down. Why are you even sitting him down? Why are you sitting him down to talk about divorce? I'm just going to leave anyways, not talk to you for a year. Just leave. Why are you even talking about it?
What about his mother that woke him up in the middle of the night to cry with her?
What's that? She's drunk, right? I mean, she's got to be drunk.
This is definitely of a time.
It's
for
80s.
sure.
You're right. It's the 80s. It's wild.
These are two, I assume, white, affluent. They're living in Disneyland.
But they're both working. They don't hang out. Ships in the night.
Right. And this would be like actually another heart of mine. What this really got me thinking about was the test of your character has nothing to do with the good and happy times. Anyone can be good and happy times.
Yeah.
The true test of your character is when fucking shit hits the fan, right? Who are
Yeah.
you? Especially to your kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, Banning's mom.
Yeah.
The dad left you. It sounds like
It sucks. Yeah,
it's
totally sucks.
terrible.
I get it.
You have 2 kids.
Yeah.
You just weren't.
And he clearly left you for a younger, more beautiful and vibrant woman.
Wow. Well, you don't have to say it like that.
She's so much hotter than you. We get it.
Banning's mom. We don't know that.
She's
We
hot.
saw it side by
Boobs.
side.
And it's Banning too at the end, right? He's talking about mom's not present.
Yeah.
Mom's just reacting. Like, life sucks. Now I got these kids. I got to deal with, I got to work. I got to do this. I just got left. This, everything sucks.
And keep in mind too that her complete safety net of financial security has been ripped away from her, which is also a common thing you see in the 80s with these, affluent dudes and, women getting their MRS degree. And all of a sudden, they're left with 2 kids and no road to hoe. I mean,
Because of that hoe.
Another hoe.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow.
That's messed up.
Such a white man.
I told you last episode, she looks at me and I'm just a white man.
Well,
She's like,
she's me feel that way.
she's like, am I right? They're always like that. Am I right? Because we're white. Oh, wait, what?
Chest bumped. It was
I was
weird.
like, what? But I'm just saying, she's just doing whatever she's doing. And that's why Banning now is like, I really think about my marriage, being present in my marriage, and being present as a parent.
Yeah.
Those are my priorities, right?
And it's wild, though, to think that we have to say that out loud. That
Well-
it's not some intuitive thing.
Well, it's hard.
Yeah, you goddamn right it's hard. Why do you think I chose not to have
It's
children?
not even that. I mean, it's also being present just in general.
Yeah.
Whether or not in a marriage or with children,
Yeah.
you're just living your life. It's hard to be present. So, like I was saying with the whole Doors heart thing, he moved around quite a bit after the divorce. I mean, he ends up, with his mom right after the divorce, and he ends up with his dad and stepmom a year later.
In Utah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Which is crazy. But then shit goes down. they kind of kick him out. But then mom can't take him. Then he ends up with aunt and uncle,
Oh yeah, this
right?
is so fucked
It's
up.
so fucked up. And then, okay, because mom's just going to meet him there because she's like, oh, I only have a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay. So anyway, in Dallas or something, aunt and uncle, mom comes to meet up. And then she's like, you know what, though? You gotta go back to dad's place and steal some receipts so he can give me some more child support. It's so effed up. What's she doing? Anyway, so
Also,
yeah.
I want to say I'd rather be dead in California than alive in Texas.
Am I right?
Right.
It's so messed up, though. I
No,
mean,
no, the sheer abuse and
yeah.
rejection that's levied on this kid at these really formative years is astounding. Both of these parents should
Yeah.
be fucking locked up.
Mhm.
To go to Utah and basically be rejected there.
After a year of not talking to him
It's, yeah,
at all.
absolutely bonkers. Goes back to Texas, like gets sent to live with his aunt and uncle. I mean, when you've got two viable parents, I shouldn't judge, but that's fucked up.
Fucked up.
These are two capable.
What's the problem?
I mean, this is really a true testament to how fucking resilient Banning is. How he sees it for exactly what it is. He can see exactly why his parents are rejecting him. Now, then though,
But he's taken it pretty personally as well.
well, he should.
Yeah.
Can you imagine leaving your kid behind? That scene at the airport?
Yeah, so
We don't have to recount
yeah.
what happened, but he's at the airport and
After having visited his dad,
his mom is saying go back, and
I don't want you, basically.
yeah.
Go back to your dad's house. He doesn't have any more money, any more quarters to call anyone. So he's just at the airport, like,
Forever.
how am
For
I
hours.
just sitting there? Like, how am I have no money. How am I supposed to get anywhere? How can I call anyone? I mean, the way he described it as a little kid, just thinking about it, I just totally felt for him. Like, felt a little kid just sitting there being like, how? Yeah, you just sit there. I don't know what I'd do.
And this is all pre-cell phone.
Yeah.
So there's no like texting anyone.
Yeah.
This is all like sitting next to a payphone trying to figure out what you're going to do.
The chair's his only friend.
I mean, what did you think about his decision to call the police?
I mean, that's the only thing you can do.
What can you do?
That's the only thing you can do.
And then wouldn't they come to pick him up? Because they're forced to.
And they double
aunt
down.
And the mom are mad at him.
They double down. So at that point, he says he's already dissociating
Yeah.
because he's been there for hours. So as a mom, you have a choice to regret what you did. This is a huge part, right? Because you can be so sorry and apologetic and just like you could totally turn it around.
Right. Like you think the drive to the airport, like you'd come to your son.
Yes.
Like,
Oh my
this is
God.
my teenage son who's gone through a lot, and I've
He
been.
was so alone and scared.
But what's happening in the car?
They're just getting riled
Her
up.
bitch sister are going back and forth about how that dick Dan is keeping alimony from her, or whatever they were talking about
Yeah.
to rile each other up, and then present that.
And then they're like screaming at him, hitting him, and he'd never been hit before. And so that's when he's just like, that's it. That's when he, closed that door to her, like no more second chance. Like, that's it. Close that door for her. And then for others too, I think, like, was just like,
As a teen, like you remember being a teenager, right?
yeah,
If you receive that kind of treatment
that's
from
it.
your parents,
Done.
and
I'd
you
be
would be
done.
happy to be done.
Oh, done.
Give me a reason.
Yeah, no.
So-
Yeah, no. Let's hang. Well, no, I'm still here. My body is here. You're saying things and I'm nodding. I'm done. The first thing, like first opportunity to get the fuck out of here, I'm done. That would be it. That'd be
See,
it.
this is the most impassioned of.
I'm just saying, totally done. And that's what I did, by the way. The
Yeah.
first opportunity I had to leave, that's not,
Yeah,
I was
nicer.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done. There were many times I was like, I'm done. It's like, okay, cool.
Just
Cool,
out
cool,
and
cool.
out.
Good.
But
I'm moving now, 2,000 miles away. Oh, there's that opportunity. Peace, you know.
yeah,
Mm.
but but your parents loved you, like loved you.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas his
Yeah.
parents are showing
They
out
did.
and out
Oh, yeah.
rejection of him.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think these two,
Totally different.
but they
Yeah.
could be on opposite ends of the same scale, right?
Yeah.
Like you're
They're
almost being crushed
control,
to
like,
death by the control and the love.
yeah.
He's being crushed to death by the sheer rejection and just
I would have been a
animosity.
non-functioning human being if I hadn't left, you know. I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I would have been a nun or something. Not straight, but
They never would have accepted you.
I would have gotten some, you know what I mean? All right, let's see.
I don't know if you would have done really well if
I would have done pretty good.
You never would have got past the front door, though. They would have seen you coming.
Hello, ladies. Hello.
Ladies, that's what God would say, right?
Ooh, look at that ruler. Okay.
So it's just totally stupid fucking reasons why he gets thrown in a psychiatric ward. Now, the dynamics of this ward are nuts. This whole like strapping kids down and to a bed or to a chair. What we find out later is this hospital is not there to fix these kids.
Right.
You could argue that whatever they've done has prolonged their suffering, and their potential diagnosis is probably going to be way worse because of the behavior that they've experienced in the hospital. It's just a holding pen to gather insurance payments. It's insane. Can you imagine being so beholden to greed and a paycheck that you just watch actual people, albeit kids, teenagers, suffer to get your little payout? And this is not an isolated incident. This is something that has been cataloged happening in lots of arenas in America, and I'm sure other parts of the country. The whole Cash for Kids scandal that came out. I feel like it's come out a few times, where judges are actually complicit in sending troubled teenage kids to places like this, and they're getting some kind of cash kickback so that without sending them to like juvenile hall. So it's presented to the public as like, oh, look at what we're doing. It's like an alternative, like restorative justice kind of thing. It's very progressive, it's very nuanced, very new. And really, these kids are not getting the kids aren't actually getting any treatment, and they're just being traded for cash. And the parents, who are fuckers in their own right, but they're in the dark. So
Well, they're also getting scared. So if they're like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to get my kid out, they're like, oh, you can take your kid out if you want.
but he might kill himself, and the blood will be on your hands.
Yeah.
And these parents who weren't really interested to begin with,
Yeah.
now they're really not interested because they don't
Like,
want.
God, yeah, I'll
It's
keep them in there then.
It was one thing just to fuck up my kid emotionally, but I don't want to actually like kill him.
Yeah,
So
so let's keep
now
them
I'm
in
gonna
there.
back off. It's a fucking catch,
Yeah.
and all of the people complacent in the scam. It's a scam. It's a scheme. All of these people know this is the point of it. This is what they're doing. They're keeping the parents scared, and they're keeping the insurance money coming, and the kids are just a scapegoat for the whole thing. And even more than a scapegoat, like they are carrying the brunt and the burden of all of these adults that are supposed to be looking out for them.
Well, if they complain at all, they get punished. They get strapped down.
But
Right.
because they're just being managed.
Yeah.
There's no wellness here.
No.
It's just management.
Can you? Oh my God, the kind of torture he had to go through just sitting in a chair
And
for hours and hours and how many hours? 10 to 12 hours a day.
and to witness other kids being tortured even worse, to be strapped down in a bed.
Just like training himself. don't help. It'll make it worse for you if you help.
I mean, you have kids. Let's say you get into the teenage years, which are coming. They're coming fast and furious, baby. I hope you're ready. If you're having trouble with one of your kids, we know which one. Are you This is
I'm doing math in my
this
head.
is too dark and personal, but I know you. I would think that no matter what kind of conflict that you were having with your kid, your love would supersede that, and you would, if you were to admit them to somewhere, you would vet it thoroughly before just
Not admit
turning.
them anywhere.
Okay, well, let's just say worst case scenario.
I'll admit you first before I
Okay,
admit
let's
them.
say it's my kids that don't exist.
No, I'm saying I admit you first before I admit them.
You put me on a hold? Like a 48?
It's 72. 72.
72.
72 standard.
No,
We talking about
48.
72.
It's a British 48.
72 standard. We all know that. Kath, what is it?
I don't even know.
We know what it is, and it's 72.
Yeah. 72 hours.
Thank you.
51.
I think I know.
Can you say
Thank
the
you.
British version? Can you tell the British version is 48?
You know we're in America, right?
I know. I live in Britain in my head.
Okay, well, I think I know what the psych-hold is in the U.S.
I'm kind of upset that you know that. So you could put a you can put a psych hold on me for 72 hours.
That's a voluntary.
You're volunteering me?
No, you can do that yourself. Go on in. You do it.
No, but if I wanted to section you, it's called sectioning.
This is actually
I'm actually concerned that you know it. Why do you know that?
You know I know that.
Because your mom?
Because your mom? The fuck? All right, let's see. So he gets out. He's doing pretty good. And he joins a band.
Yes. Oh, he goes to the halfway house. Again, music.
Yeah, music brings people together. But he does...
Get the people come
together.
See? So you come around. It's a good song. It is good. Can you play some of that, Cass?
He starts to, so that his bandmates, he actually starts to see like a healthy family relationship, which is something he's never seen before. That, I imagine like, they're in the garage practicing and it's like their dad comes down. It's like, comes down to the lemonade. It's like, oh my God, you guys sound so good. Like, I just was imagining.
He was doing that?
I don't know.
It was really coming together.
And it just sounds so bad or something. It was so sweet, and I don't know. I just was just picturing that. The bandmate's dad
embraced him as one of his own kids.
Yeah.
And he felt finally that he felt included and accepted in a family. And that was a really beautiful, moving moment. And when the dad was on his deathbed dying, he pulled Banning in to the room and said, and Banning was like fighting him, saying, I shouldn't be here. This is her family. And the dad said, I want you to feel like you're a part of this family. And
And you can call me dad.
You can call me dad.
It's big.
That's huge.
Because he really knew that he had a terrible kind of experience with his dad. And he does say...
It's those kind of relationships that can sustain you. It can, when you're in that kind of mire and darkness, to have one person extend a helping hand to you and say, I can be what you need me to be right now in this moment, was this bridge for Banning in so many ways. It like really got him through this time period of his life.
On this guy's deathbed.
I know.
And he's got kids of his own.
He's got kids of his own. It is really sweet.
It's real. That's why I picture him like that. He seems really like a sweet guy. And so Banning describes it. Remember when he says he had this door that was almost shut, and just this little gesture.
Yes, that stuck out to me as well.
Right, just this little gesture of this guy.
He said the dad this dad put a foot in the door
Yeah.
and stopped
It was
it from
almost
closing.
closing. He just stopped it.
So good.
It's so good.
There's a class action lawsuit against the facility years later. Also, he's met a woman.
Well, Kevin was the guy.
Who's Kevin?
Kevin wasn't Kevin his roommate? It was so effed because Kevin, I think, was his roommate who he came into his room and was all happy coming in, all strapped into his wheelchair. He was strapped in his wheelchair. You don't recall this. So he's in the psych ward. He's like freaking out. He's in the psych ward. And he gets into his room. He's like, fuck, I'm here. And then Kevin comes in. I think it's Kevin. And he's strapped in. Well, they describe Kevin as the guy who was strapped into his wheelchair, but he's strapped into his wheelchair coming into the room, so happy. And he's like, why is he so happy? He's strapped into his wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then they move him from his wheelchair to his bed and then strap him into his bed. And he was like, so happy. But then it's like, oh, not as happy. But it was such a privilege to be strapped into your wheelchair. That was the happy part.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked. Anyway, but then I just saw the connection because he described it as that.
I know,
guy
but
who
aren't we past
strapped his
that?
wheelchair. That's who Kevin is. He said it was the guy who was strapped to his wheelchair.
Okay.
Anyway, he dies. Kevin dies.
Oh.
And then they go to his funeral. They go to Kevin's. It's actually very tragic because Kevin is the first to die out of everybody.
And that.
And then so they go to Kevin's funeral and he then meets his future soulmate, not fiance, Jennifer.
That she dies.
Then he becomes a backpacker and now he likes being outdoors. And that's why I chose Doors as my heart of the show. Do you have anything else, Elly?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, have you seen this Ken Burns documentary that he talks about? No, I haven't, but it makes me want to watch it, especially the way that our national parks are under fire from the current administration. It makes me want to dig into national parks even more. And as we know, Banning is a backpack guide in Yosemite. Have you ever been to Yosemite?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I went for my first time last year, even though I was
First time?
I was infected at the Great Wolf Lodge by your children.
Gosh.
Scott's obsessed with Yosemite. And if you want to see pictures of Banning in his element at Yosemite, go to the Actually Happening Instagram where you can see pictures of Banning there. I think that's all we have. Good, T?
Good.
Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show or podcasts are kept. Please rate and review us. Thanks to Banning for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. And thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Tromboli. Thanks to Cathy Sites in the room, for editing this episode and generally supporting us and thanks to Katy Caple for building those blasted Instagram posts. Please subscribe to us at YouTube. You can contact us at Gmail and just check out our show notes if you want to know things about us. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T. Love you, Cathy.
Oh, love you, Elly. Love you, Kath.